Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing fine. And guess what? Today we're going to talk about letter series in our Unit 5 Mathematical Reasoning and Aptitude. And it's quite important session because you are going to get one question from that concept itself. So before we jump into what is this letter series and all this stuff, we need to find out about what pattern, what formula and all this stuff, right? But as I told you, let's begin with what is a letter series there in mathematical reasoning and how to solve it properly and what kind of question they ask. All these stuff we're gonna talk about. First, what is alphabet series and coding? Okay, imagine you're trying to crack the code of secret message where the pattern of letters is like the steps of a dance move that repeat itself. You have got a bunch of small letters dancing in a line, doing their thing and kind of following a beat. But you have to some of the letters in our case missed their cues and left gaps in the performance. How you gonna do it? How you gonna find that one? So your mission should be you should choose to accept it is to figure out which letters are missing so the whole squad can complete their routine flawlessly, right? And in that letter series we have alphabet coding. So imagine in your favorite video game or maybe binge watching your favorite TV series, there's always a pattern or sequence to how things happens, right? Maybe the levels in your game get tougher in a certain way, or each episode of the show reveals a bit more of the story. So they are kind of following a specific order, and the alphabet series is a kind of like that, but remember it's with the letters. So think of the alphabet as a super long train where each carriage is a letter starting with A and ending with Z. Now when we talk about the alphabet series in math, we are playing with the order of these carriages. Sometimes we might go into the casual order like A, B, C, D and so on, which is like walking straight through the train from the first carriage to the last. So other times we might mix things up and jump around based on a specific pattern, like only hopping into carriages that are vowels like A, E, I, O, U, skipping the rest, right? So here where it gets really fun. What if we create our own pattern, like we decide to visit every second letter like B, D, F, H and so on, or go backward like Z, Y, X, W. So these patterns are what we call the alphabet series in a math. Now let me tell you about the coding. So this coding and decoding thing is a bit more chill and fun. Imagine you're a secret agent and you have a secret message that you need to send to your fellow agent without the bad guys letting what you're saying. And that's what coding comes into play. You come up with a secret code like replacing each letter with another letter or maybe a number. Only you and your buddy know what the code means. So even if someone else sees the message, it's a gibberish kind of thing to them. And now let's say you're on the receiving end, you get this code message, and because you're in on the secret, you can figure out what it actually says. So this process of figuring out the secret message is called your decoding, and it's like you're translating it back into regular language so you can understand. In a lot of competition exams like in UGC NET, banking and all this, they ask these questions, and they know in these questions about this coding and decoding stuff. It's not just to mess up with your head, it's actually a way to test how good you are at spotting pattern and rules. Like if A is coded as 1 and B is coded as 2 and you get a message that reads 12152225, can you track what it means? Simply it's love, right? That's the gist of it. And for this question, knowing your ABCD forward and backwards can really help you, and you have to group them in 5 letters each, and I'll tell you in our next slide how you can just find make the table. So we are going to dive into this whole secret agent code business with some examples and practice stuff to make sure you're ready to for any code related things in your exam. And we are also share some neat tricks to quickly figure out pattern and decode messages faster than you can say. Right, so think of coding and decoding like a game where you're using clues to solve a mystery. It's not just about memorizing rules, it's about getting better at thinking logically and paying attention to details. Plus, it's handy skill. You never know when you'll need to pass secret message to your friends in class without getting caught, right? Don't do that. Anyway, let me tell you about that table, which is very important, because of only that you'll be able to solve any kind of letter series. You see, either you can do with 10, but here I just made it a little bit short. You have to remember all these letters in their position number. Like here we start with A, that is 1, and at the end we see E 5, and at the end we have 26. All these letters you have to remember the position, and you will understand how you can figure out. Right, let me tell you one example so that you can understand. But before that, let me tell you about the backward, and that you should also know about it, because it starts with z like 1, and then y2, and these kind of both backward and forward table you have to remember. But most of the time what we see is the forward letters, that letter position from A to Z. But in some cases you get question backwards, so in that case you have to remember this particular table as well. So let me tell you what kind of question you'll get. Right, first, it's sometime you get question like direct letter coding. You don't have to follow any pattern or anything. You just have to think about what kind of did they kind of swap the number, or it's kind of direct letter coding. Sometimes S is coded at C and all this stuff. I'll tell you with the example. So as you can see, we have the question here, like if in a certain code cramp is written as SCVGT and cannot is written as SVAABT, then how will rampant is will be written using the same code. So as we know, we'll just place one letter series that they have asked about the cramp, and then below what we have written as. So we'll just put it, and again the same pattern we'll do with cannot, and we'll just write down how it is written. So when we do that, you see it's a direct coding. It doesn't require any pattern and all this stuff. So remember, R is written as C, A is written as V, M is written as G, and P is written as T. So here also in cannot, A is written as V, N is written as A, N is of course written as it, and T is. So we'll just do what is our question. We are trying to find out about rampant, right? So we'll just put it, and we'll see R is coded at where it's here, right? So R is coded as C, and A is coded as V, you can see here, and M is coded at G. We can put this, and couple of letters. If you do that, you will understand okay, that will be the answer, right? Because it starts with here, right? So we have that thing, but we'll just complete this thing, and again N is written as A, so we'll have A, and T is written T. So that is our answer, right? So that's how the direct coding works. But what if it is not direct coding? It's about position and all this stuff. So letters position question, you always get it, and it's like most of the time you're going to get question based on that itself. So it's all about, if you know the position, letter position, then it'll be easy to understand what you're gonna get the answer, right? So if the question says, if in a certain code language forward is written as ENQVZQC, then how will backward be written? So we'll just simple follow the formula, like we'll just put forward here and then see what is the pattern is happening. So E, so when we just -1, we'll get E, right? You see, if you -1 from F, you'll get 5, which is E, right? Same. So it's kind of following the same pattern here. You just can follow and you will get the same answer. Like suppose here backward is written, if we -1, we'll get A, right? And exactly the same. The trick is where here, like A, if you -1 from A, you'll definitely get Z, right? Because it's going back. So that kind of sometime you'll get tricky pattern, but it's easy if you remember the table. So I hope you know the table. And also when you talk about the table, you have to remember the last position, like E is for 5, J for 10, 15 and 20. So then you can do it in your mind itself. But before you get this kind of question, you just write down in the exam itself quickly, like A to Z 26, right? And then you'll understand that it will be really easy for you to get the answer. That is about the letters position. And then we have another question which is about rearranging letters. Rearranging is simple. Like sometimes they ask about, like here daughter is written as kind of ulta, kind of opposite way. Then mother is written as what we can just do it like it starts with AR, right? So that is our answer. So that through that you can also understand what is rearranging letters, right? And then we have again some question about the coding. Like here Hyderabad is coded as LXEDS AZC AZZ, and how it is coming, we'll just write down like in parallel way, like HYDER like this. And then we see the pattern what is here. What happening is here one letter is with plus, and then again next letter is with -1. So through that you will just understand, okay, we are getting this answer. So exactly if we follow the same pattern for Chennai, we write it down like that, and we'll just +1 and -1 and +1, we'll get this answer, right? So remember one thing, I'm just talking about the simple one, but when we do more practice about it, then you'll understand, because you get more than one letter. Sometime if G is then, and then -3 is there, right? So if you from -3, if you'll do from G, you'll get what? 1 2 3, it'll come like C. So or if you do +3, then it'll come like 7 plus 3 is how much? 10. So we'll go with J, right? So it just goes bigger and bigger, sometimes more complicated. Like sometimes they'll ask about plus and minus together on all this stuff. And the difficult question is when it is the backward kind of question. Anyway, we'll all talk about this in our PYQ session, but first now you have to understand the concept what we're going to talk about, and that's how you're going to actually solve the question. So guys, that's all for today, and in our next thing we'll talk about blood relation and other stuff, right? And again here one more question is there. As you see, if cab is written as 75, how will taxi be written? So in simple case, cab 24, A 26 and B, because it's the backward position, right? It starts with Z. So in that way you can just get the question. So guys, that's all for today. In our next session we are going to talk about blood relation, and it's gonna be easy, and that one question you're gonna get it, and I'll show you the real cool trick to map the diagram, and you will easily reach your answer and whatever kind of question they ask. If you know how to represent gender, if you know how to represent kind of family tree, then you will easily understand the question, and also you'll find the answer in no time. So I'll see you in our next session about blood relationship, and for now, bye bye, take care and have a good day.